Can I also pay tribute to the new chair of the Select Committee, the honourable gentleman, the member for Harlow, both for the tone and content of his speech today, because I think we are at a point where we need to have a serious debate that looks at the evidence about what is happening in our higher education system. And my starting point is that surely the scale of student and graduate debt now is something that must worry us all, whichever party we're a member of. And I want to focus in my 5 minutes on three things. First is about the student satisfaction levels and value for money. Secondly, part-time students. And thirdly, the question of interest rates. The Student Academic Experience Survey conducted this year showed a significant shift in students' perceptions that I think should concern us all, and I hope the Minister will address it in his closing remarks. 5 years ago, the majority of students rated their university experience as good or very good, 53%. That figure had fallen to 35%, and those who rated it poor or very poor, the number had doubled in that 5-year period. And the figures for England were worse than the figures for both Scotland and Wales. That must surely be a cause for concern. Other colleagues have spoken about the impact on part-time students. In Russell Group universities, the number of first-year students this year studying part-time is 44% lower than in 2011. In other higher education institutions, the fall is even greater. In certain subjects, the fall is very dramatic. In languages, from more than 16,000 to just over 6,000. In computer sciences, from almost 6,000 to just over 3,500. Surely that must be a matter for concern as well. And then there is this question of interest rates. When Labour introduced tuition fees, the interest payable on loans was either the Bank of England base rate plus 1% or the retail price index, whichever was the lowest. So interest rates could be expected in that period to be as low as 1.3%. Because of the changes that we've seen under this government, some students are leaving university having already incurred £6,000 in interest payments. Surely that is something that we have to look at and is a matter of concern. Let us have a serious debate, and I welcome the fact that the Select Committee will be doing so under the chairmanship of the honourable gentleman, the member for Harlow. And I absolutely accept that the question of access to higher education is not just about student fees and graduate debt. Schools and colleges have a vital role to play in raising aspirations, in providing support for students. We do know, as the Secretary of State said, that we have seen some progress on access for some disadvantaged groups, and particularly some, not all, some black and minority ethnic groups, and that is very, very welcome. But we have a very big challenge for white working class kids, and particularly those from the poorest backgrounds. And I represent a constituency that is predominantly white working class. And one of the aspects of this is access to our top universities, which is why 2 years ago I established a programme with 8 secondary schools serving my constituency that we've called the Liverpool to Oxbridge Collaborative, that is giving support to the most academic students to consider applying to Oxford or to Cambridge. And I'm delighted to say today that 5 students from West Derby, Broughton Hall and Cardinal Heenan schools have gained places at Oxford and Cambridge starting this autumn. The programme is starting to make a difference, and the aspiration of the children, the young people, their parents and the support they've had from those schools has been amazing. I want that sort of level of support for the most academic students to be as commonplace in state schools as it is in the top private schools, because if it's not, we won't address the fundamental problems of social mobility and inequality that we have. But further increasing tuition fees risks undermining the progress that is being made in many of our schools and colleges. And that is why we need a rethink. That is why I welcome the debate that the Chair of the Select Committee has said that his committee will be undertaking, and why I think that this motion today, revoking the latest increase in tuition fees, is a right, correct motion and a step in the right direction to achieve that rethink.
Kevin Hollinwright.
Madam Deputy Speaker, it's a pleasure to speak after the honourable gentleman for Liverpool